So you're looking to relocate to the great state of Florida. Congratulations. I'm glad you found me because I'm going to tell you about Florida's best kept secret, Citrus County, Florida. My name is David Collins, and in this video today, I'm going to discuss with you if you should live in a community with an HOA or live in a community without an HOA. With that being said, if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to give you the most important nugget of all this discussion. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. First off, I'm going to discuss the pros and cons of an HOA community and a non-HOA situation, both sides of the fence. And then I'm going to give you some examples of different HOAs in Citrus County and, throughout Florida, but different HOAs and how they differ. And then I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts from my experience working with buyers coming into Florida to make this decision. I have a lot of experience, and I'm more I'm definitely bullish on the HOA thing, and I'll get into it, but here we go. So first and foremost, why should someone live in an HOA community? We're going to talk about that first. First of all, it's well-maintained neighborhoods. The HOA is going to make sure that each and every neighbor comes to a standard and stays in that standard, which is nice. You're not getting somebody where you're not, pride of ownership, and then you got Tim's bar and grill, and then Joe's repair shop on either side of the pride of ownership homes. So it's a nice program there. A lot of HOAs, the amenities included, they'll have a community center, the Hudson pickleball courts, they'll have a pool, they'll have a weight room, that type of thing. So those amenities are included in the HOA, which is nice because if you start to join a YMCA, you start to join, for a pool and a fitness, or you just join a gym, or you got to drive, 20 minutes to get to the pickleball courts or the tennis courts, they're in your neighborhood. Higher property values. Hey, listen, when there's more consistency and more standards to the program, your property values are going to be greatly helped. Period. End of story. When you don't have HOAs and inconsistencies, you can have pride of ownership of a home, and if somebody beside you that doesn't, it's going to hurt your values. Simple. There's nothing you can, there's no argument to that. Less maintenance. Some HOAs that will include the maintenance fees of your lawn and what have you. Usually it's a different program, a different fee. There's usually a basic HOA, and then there is the maintenance fee. It's usually different, but again, that is an option there. Clear community standards, we discussed that already. I mean, it's everything is tight, organized, and there's standards to be kept. Sense of community, when you have HOAs, usually it's in a planned community, so you have more neighbors, and you have the houses are usually a little closer together, so you build relationships with neighbors. Whereas non-HOA situations, usually the neighborhoods, there is neighborhoods in Citrus County that don't have HOAs, and the houses are close, and you can build that community within your neighborhood there. But for the most part, it's usually non-HOA neighborhoods are usually, spotted areas, what have you. Safety and security usually have gated accesses in a lot of these planned communities, which helps security. It's not foolproof or what have you, but with the gate, it kind of helps, knows who's coming in and going, and vendors and what have you. So it's kind of a nice thing. Sometimes HOAs include neighborhood patrols, or they'll have a volunteer force in the neighborhood, so that works good. That's kind of the idea of HOA. Now we're going to go on the other side of the fence and talk about non-HOA. Why should not live in an HOA community? Monthly and annually fees. I mean, these fees can get ridiculous. You have a decent-sized HOA fee, but there's something included. I'll tell you in a second. That kind of makes it, almost like a break-even situation. We'll get into it. Limited personal freedom. Rules may restrict paint colors and whatever. You don't have any of that. You can paint your house fascia pink, whatever you want. You can checkerboard your lawn. You can not have a lawn. You can have stones. You can do whatever you want. And within what the county of Citrus tells you, they have standards, but they're not as strict as an HOA standard. There's no fines or penalties. The same idea. If you don't do something that's supposed to be done, there's no fines or penalties. Management issues. You're not fighting. You hear there was an author down in Miami, or excuse me, in Palm Beach County, and he used to write about HOA boards and what have you every Sunday when I lived down there, and it was hilarious. I forgot his name, but it was, some of the stories of HOA presidents. They kind of, some people get a little power and look out. Special assessments can happen in an HOA community. If you get a storm or you get situations that, what have you, that need to be repaired, they got a special assess. But usually you have reserves that handle that, and insurance is that handle that. So, less individuality, what have you. You don't have to, you can do whatever you want. You can, if you want to be individual, you can be individual when whatever. There's a lot of rule changes over time in HOAs, and you don't have to worry about that if you don't live in an HOA. So that's good. Who HOA living is best for? People who like structure and consistency. This is common sense stuff. I get it. Those who want low maintenance living, and homeowners who value amenities and aesthetics. Makes sense, right? Who HOA is not for? More individual, more folks that value privacy and freedom. You might want to do some things at your home that an HOA wouldn't allow. Maybe you do have a small repair program going on. If you live out in the back 40, you might want farm animals. You might want more dogs, whatever it is, cats, more animals, what have you. So that's kind of both sides of the fence. It's very common sense, but I go through it because, people that are relocating, a lot of times they're not coming from HOA situations. So it's always good to kind of give the basics. And again, if you have any questions about, if you want to go down the rabbit hole even more, because every HOA is a little bit different, you can call me, what have you. So, but I'm going to say this before we go on. If you do me a big favor, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're looking to relocate, I can promise you the information that I give you is going to be very valuable to your decision-making process. And the more information you have and the more understanding of that information you have, the better off you're going to be. And so with that being said, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like button for me if you don't mind, so that you get that information, because information is key. I'm going to discuss a few different types of HOAs you find in Citrus County, and these are going to be in Florida too, so it's good information if you're not looking at Citrus County. So you have a better understanding of this. First off, not all HOAs are created equal. Let's talk about, I'm going to talk about two, Terra Vista here in Citrus County and Black Diamond, are two more planned gated communities. Okay, I live in Black Diamond. Terra Vista is very similar gated community. It's a planned community, golf community. You don't have to be a member of the golf course in either way. You don't have to play golf. Only 30% of the people that live in a golf community play golf. So people like the ideas. You look out back in my backyard here. It's the golf course. It's far enough away from the golf course so I don't get golf balls, but I don't have anybody in my backyard living, looking at me when I'm doing this video and thinking, what the heck the guy doing? Okay. So with that being said, both communities are about $200-ish a month. And before you fall out of your seat, just hang in there. The gatehouse, all the common areas and roads. All the roads in a gated community are private. So the HOA is responsible for road upkeep. Again, it's a small price. You pay into the HOA. They create reserves, and when the roads need fixing, which isn't every single day, they get done. If there's a catastrophe on the roads, there's usually insurance for that. But for the most part, the reserves handle it. They put money away every month of all the dues and the HOA fees handle roads down the road. How about that one? Club amenities in both these communities are not included in the HOA. You have to, there's a separate fee for Terra Vista, and you have to join the club here at Black Diamond is different. So a lot of times the amenities aren't also already included. You have to add on to those type of things, and especially here. But those are the things you got to look at. You see this beautiful golf course, and you say $200 a month. That's nothing to, and you get to play golf. That doesn't work like that. You got to look more into it. Every HOA is a little different. Call me if you need help. One of me or my teammates will help you on that. On the scale of structure, these two neighborhoods are definitely higher standards. I mean, they want to make sure your roof is clean, your driveway's clean, your lawn's cut, trimmed, the trees look good, the landscaping looks good. If you're going to make improvements outside, you need to go to the builders, the builders architectural review board. Again, it's just helping your property values. And if you're watching this and you don't believe in that, God bless you. I mean, if you feel like that's too militant, I get it, what have you. Now, on the caveat, I had mentioned $200 a month, and you're saying, dang, that's $2,400 a year. That's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But here's the caveat. Here's really important is that a lot of these communities, what has happened is in the cable business, they're worried about losing subscribers, so they've come to these HOAs, and they've made bundle packages and a program where everybody has to be on, it's 100% participation, but your basic cable and your internet, a good level of internet is included every month. I don't pay extra for my internet and basic cable. The package I'm with Spectrum, same as in Citrus County here, Spectrum, which is a national company, $200 a month, okay, and I get that included. If I had to pay separately for the package that I get, the basic cable and the internet, you're probably talking about $175 a month, if not more, to $200. So basically, I always joke. I always say, well, I pay $200 a month, and I get a house and my beautiful roads and my beautiful landscaping, common area landscaping, all for free. But it really, if you think about it, if you live outside and you have to pay for Spectrum, cable, internet, basic cable, even if you just pay internet, it's $100 now. So it's just something that's a caveat there. Now, as I mentioned, not all HOAs are created equal. I'm going to talk a little bit about Pine Ridge and what have you. And Pine Ridge is not a gated community, so the county maintains the roads, which is nice. They're public roads. Now, it's about $100, depending on how many acres you have in Pine Ridge. It's roughly about $100 a year. Instead of $200 a month, $100 a year, which includes small community center area they have, which has a couple of pickleball courts, a couple of tennis courts. They have a hobby airplane fly runway, which is unique, to communities. And they have a little play area for the children. You get your grandkids, or you have a family, you can go and what have you. So, there's those options or those opportunities. But here is something in Citrus Hills, which is part of, kind of cousins of Terra Vista, same idea. Both of these HOAs are roughly about the same amount of money. They don't have the cable program, so you got to pay your cable, which again, now you're talking, you're $2,000 a month in that, so, or $2,000 a year in that. So, whatever. And I'm going to talk, I get so many phone calls. I do a lot of work in Pine Ridge. Listen, if you're in Black Diamond, you're in Terra Vista, you got to understand there's this standard, HOAs vary, what have you. Now, the thing about Pine Ridge is, low-end housing starts in the high 300s for a nice home in Pine Ridge, all the way up into the $1 million category. And everybody, I get a lot of phone calls. Hey, I don't want an HOA. Well, you're looking to spend $100,000. I just had this conversation this weekend. $600,000 home, and a couple's looking at it. I don't want an HOA. And I'm thinking, okay, I get it. But you spend that money outside of an HOA community, you're going to have, your home's going to have pride of ownership. It's going to be nice, beautiful, what have you. You're going to go next door. Again, you can have, Joe's Bar and Grill next door. You can have 15, the neighbor can have 5 cars in his lot, parking on his yard and his driveway, and the kids been coming in and out of there with their cars, all night, all day long. Now again, that can happen in Pine Ridge, but you can't be parking on the lawn, and you have to park, in the driveway, and you can't park on the street. So there's some discipline to that. The other thing is that, the HOA in Pine Ridge is not, they have standards, but the standards are very fair. It keeps the neighborhood at a fair standard, whereas, for the amount of money is nothing. If you're talking $500,000 house, $100 a year, you can afford it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I get it. But it just helps you, and that's why I'm very bullish on HOAs for this type of situation, because you can take that same $500,000 house and plop it outside an HOA, a non-HOA community, and I can take you in the car, ride you around the streets, and you're going to see the difference. And that's why I'm bullish on the HOAs in that situation. Again, Terra Vista and Black Diamond, you're all in on that type of living or you're not. Whereas Pine Ridge is such a different situation, because the HOA is not as restrictive, but you still got to go to the architectural review board to do things outside, which makes sense. You just don't want people doing stuff all over the place and ruining your investment, okay? And again, I'm bullish, and if you can stand that and you want that, God bless you. We got plenty of spots, and we got team members and myself can help you find those homes and what have you. I'm just saying is you got to be careful. Okay, I think you get my point. Let's go on. All right, so that's kind of the HOA thing is you got to make your own decision on that, but that it really gives you an idea of the pros and cons and what you're looking at HOAs, and they're not all created equal and what have you. But I did promise you the most important nugget in this video, and here it is. As I speak today, you can kind of see I have my sweater on, and it's December 30th. And we are having a little bit of a cold front here in Citrus County. Our high temperature is going to be in the high 50s today. It's a little nippy outside, and it's going to dip into the 30s this evening. But I'm going to be inside, and I might turn on the heat, comfy it up a little bit, and it'll be fine. I'm inside. I've got, a little heat. I'm going to be fine. And outside, like I said, a little nippy, but as you're sitting there going, oh, maybe I might not go to Florida because it's 50, high 50s. I want 70. Don't freak out. Here's the thing. By the end of this week, it's going to be in the 70s here in Citrus County. And it's going to be glorious again. If not, it's kind of glorious. And if you live here year-round, you kind of like a little cold weather. A little change of scenery is not a bad thing. So, but more importantly, I mentioned the nugget. Here it is, 50s, but let's just take a look at what ChatGPT had to say about a few cities where you might be coming from. Chicago, Illinois today. Cold with partly sunny skies early, becoming cloudy later. Temperatures around the low 20s Fahrenheit. Woo! Flurries possible. Gusty winds. Nice. Sign me up for that. Buffalo, New York. Today, mostly cloudy with flurries at times. Typical winter condition near the Great Lakes. Temperatures near 22 to 24 Fahrenheit. Snow showers likely scattered through the day. Strong winter storm effects the folks are experiencing that in the great city of Buffalo. Washington, D.C. We're going to go a little south, kind of even it out. Cloudy to partly cloudy, chilly and winter conditions, temperature in the low to mid 30s. Wow. Breezy winds. I got almost 60, you got 30, 20s. So it's not, if you take it all into context, Citrus County's not so bad. All right, folks, if this is your first time seeing me, I want to thank you, and I want you to know everything there is to know about living in Citrus County. So please subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications. So when I put out new videos that will help you in your relocation, you're the first one to know. My name is David Collins, and we get calls from people like you every single day and looking to relocate. And it doesn't matter if you're relocating in 9 days or 9 months or 9 years, I'm here to help. And the best way to do that is either you can give me a call, down underneath is my phone number, or on the screen here for you. And then you can either text me, call me, email me, or visit my website, what have you. Myself or one of my teammates would love to help you relocate to the great Citrus County, and to make it nice and smooth and as stress-free as possible. So, enjoy the cold weather. Or if you're coming up from South Florida, you're a little warmer, what have you, this would be nice, a little change. It's good for the hair. So, let me know. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.